Greetings and welcome to Understanding Her More, where men listen, learn, and appreciate. Yes, this is where my men and women take out their notebooks and their pens and make some little notes, because we're here to teach and to let men understand us as women, and also for ladies, if your two get mashed, you know that some changes have to take place, right? Right. So, people, today we will be talking about the love language. Yes, I said it. And sharing with us is the beautiful bee, Mrs. Basilia Barnaby Cuff. Hi, Bas.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. But we have co-hosting with me, Horin Kelly, otherwise called Bond Star. I hope I say it right. Right, Horin? I said it right?
Correct.
All right,
I'm
great.
here.
So, usually the men would be in the hot seat, but somewhat today, Bass is in the hot seat. So, Horin will be representing the males in asking a few questions, while Bass will basically feed us with some good food for thought, right? So, Bass, I'm gonna start. Or you want to start, Horin? Which one? I'm gonna start.
You can go. Take the
I
lead.
should go. Okay, great. All right. So to kick things off, Bass, without any written, documented information, for you, in your perspective, what is love language?
Well, in layman terms, and before I even knew that there were 5 established love languages, I've always thought that, your love language is the way in which you learn to receive love, or it's the way in which you can appreciate when love is being given to you. So just like how I speak English and I can only truly understand when somebody speaks English to me or patois, I compare it, in the same kind of line with love. So it's really loving me in a way that I can understand and I can appreciate.
Hit it on the head. I agree in the sense of that aspect. It's all about singing the song that I want to hear, basically, or singing the song that I understand, right?
Yes.
But just before we jump, Horin, is there anything you want to point out here?
Yes, based on what you have said just now, it would have appears that the way you socialize and culture really shapes how you identify love languages. Am I right or wrong?
I wouldn't say how I'm socialized. I think it boils down to a personal thing, because over the years I have seen how, for example, my mom and dad, they've been married for 37 years. And I've seen how my mom loves my dad in terms of what she does. I've seen how my father loves my mom. So, and there are 2 different ways in which they kind of show love to each other. But it boils down to a personal preference and what I have learned to appreciate a little bit more than the other.
Okay.
So while culture and socialization may come into play, I think it really boils down to a personal preference.
Which I'm happy you said that, because, and being specific, you said that your father and your mother express the love in a different way. But
Yes.
do you think that if I express my love in this particular way and you express your love in that particular way, do you think there are some downsides to that?
Well, when it comes on to loving somebody, let me just say it off the bat that it's not how you want to express your love, it's how the person wants you to love them. And by that, I mean, it's not just about how you want to show love, but you have to get to that place where you know the person you are in a relationship with and you understand them in such a way that you know that, hey, this is what they love when I do, or this is how they receive my love a little bit more. So it's not about you. It's not about you on the giving end. You have to think about the person on the receiving end and compromise and adjust to ensure happiness. So it's not about you.
Because it goes to this, Sorry, so say Horin and myself and Horin are in a relationship, right? And Horin is not one to give things. He's more of a talker. But I like to get things, and I don't believe much in talking. Wouldn't there be some form of barrier in us trying to get it?
Well, that's the beauty about being in relationships and dating and getting to know each other. I think if you really want to, at the end of the day, achieve happiness, then it's not about what you want to do. It's not about what you're used to doing. It's not about what you enjoy doing, but it's about what your partner loves. And I think at the end of the day, and this is something that I say to people all the time, at the end of the day, if your goal is for your partner to be happy, then there are some things that you must be willing to do. There are some things that you must be willing to change, some things you must be willing to compromise with, so that at the end of the day, your partner is happy and your partner feels loved.
You said
so
it.
If I have a different love language, like me and my husband, we have two different love languages. For me, primary love language is quality time. And for my husband, his love language is words of affirmation. So both figured this out early on out in our dating days. And because we knew that these were the things that my partner loves, and when I do these things, my partner feels loved and appreciated, we always aimed to ensure that we spoke the love language of each other. So it's not about what I want. It's also about, and majority of it's about what makes him happy, what makes him feel loved. Because if I am stuck because my love language is quality time, and all I want to do is spend quality time to do this, spend quality time to do that, I am only fulfilling my love language and I am only fulfilling my needs. But what about his needs? And so I spend a lot of time and I put a lot of into ensuring while he does what he needs to do to make me happy in terms of carving out quality time for us to spend together, especially with kids in the picture, I ensure that every chance I stroke that ego, words of affirmation, yes, because I want to ensure that while he's making me happy, I am also making him happy. And a lot of times as ladies, I think we go wrong into being so caught up in our own happiness that we don't realize the man is
So, he's laughing.
And I'm a firm believer. Yes, we want the flowers, we want the chocolate, we want the gifts.
Listen.
The man what chop liver?
Listen.
No, him
I don't mean to cut you back, but prior to this,
I'm sorry.
Prior to this conversation, that is exactly what Horain said. Horain was like, the woman them just want.
That's why he's laughing.
Yes, he was like, the ladies just wants.
But it's true.
And when my
it's
birthday
true.
come, all me get a something when me used to sex. And I'm like,
me no join that the line there, and me no join that the crowd there. My man must happy.
Yes,
my man must happy.
So, Mrs.
You know
Scuff.
this case, sir.
Mrs. Scuff.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, I was saying to her previously that celebrations most times for the female and for the towards the male is sex. So birthday, sex. Valentine, sex.
No. Every day you can get sex. You have to do something different. Sex every day. Sex every day is something. Every day, twice a day, 3 times on Sundays. Okay, what else? Anybody can give anybody sex,
that
you know?
is it.
No,
That
anybody
is
can
it.
give anybody sex, but what else? What else?
You skip one part too. you can close your eyes and sex happen.
Listen.
Well, there you go. I learned something growing up from my father, and this is something that I also applied to my marriage. My father used to just be very spontaneous. I think that's where I got my spontaneity from. My father is very spontaneous, and he used to just always just do these random things for my mother. And my mother is more on the reserved side. She would do some things, but not as outgoing as daddy. When I got married, I decided that, I need to ensure that I don't just do the normal things. So I have coined something, and Katie, you would know about this. I have coined something called Husband Day. Not no go so, but
Yes,
I
absolutely
choose
love
a
it.
day out of the year when I just absolutely just flood my husband with all things bright and beautiful. And we're not just talking about sex because him get that all the time. But I'm talking about going the extra mile and making him feel extra special. One year, I flew him out. He knew that we were flying out the night before, surprised him with hotel and everything overseas. So twice we flew out. One year, I just drove him to a hotel. He didn't know where we were going, spent the weekend. So every year since we've been married, I've had something called Husband Day. It's not on any particular day or a set date because I always want it to be a surprise. And these are things that I do on a regular. For Father's Day the other day, and because he's now a father, I also incorporate it into ensuring that Father's Day is extra special because I see the whole world going on and on and on about moms alone. But people are catching on in terms of celebrating dads. What I did the other day for Father's Day was I had 4 Sundays of Father's Day for every year that he has been a dad. So he's been a dad for 4 years to our beautiful girls. And for those 4 years, I gave him 4 Sundays of Father's Day. So for 4 Sundays, it was celebrated. So,
Nice.
I think we get to a place as ladies, especially, to understand that men have needs too. And we're not just talking about sex. Sometimes you just think, say, sex, blam, blam, and them good. No, they have emotional needs too. They want to feel extra special. Yes, I remember like my husband roses already. He was so confused, he never know what to do with roses. I said, well, you always buy me roses. I wanted to buy you roses this time around. And I mean, he thought about it and he was like, wow. And I've really sought to change the narrative when it comes on to celebrating your spouse. And that is something that I invest a lot of time, effort, and money into. That's just how I, run my show. Yeah.
So that would be an act of service based on the love languages.
Yeah.
Yes. And what I always do is tie them in with acts of affirmation, which is his primary love language.
Which based on the book, it is said that is the most common one.
Which one?
The words
Affirmation?
of affirmation.
Oh yeah. Like for example,
Common among
I remember
women or men or in general?
I think it speaks general.
Yeah. I think for men, especially because of their ego, they like to be told that you did a good job. They like to be celebrated when they do something.
Yeah.
And for me, because I know that that's my husband's primary love language. I remember the first time he went on TV to do an interview. I surprised him the next day at work with one big shebang of celebration and congratulatory cake and right. So I always tie in the gift giving with the acts of affirmation and just do it randomly sometimes.
You know one thing. May I add to it?
No.
As from a male perspective, and I can speak for myself. Sometimes maybe the woman don't have the gifts to give or anything else, but the words of affirmation where she say, hey, babes, I got you. We're gonna do.
Yeah.
You can do this, and even so,
It goes a long way.
even so, she would go to her way and even make a call for you, or sign the paper for you, or go to somewhere for you, just to say, yes, I'm here for you. It really speaks volume, and
It does.
always marks a special moment.
It does.
Yeah.
It definitely does. And I just want to re-highlight the point where Bass said two things that have been a very common word in all our episodes, compromising. And because it has been said so often, I think I'm going to ground it as one of the key factors in any relationship, compromising. Because if you're going to just be in the mood of my needs only, and if I'm not, I mean, they say a happy wife is a happy home. But I think we need to change that to a happy wife and a happy husband is a happy home, because it's not just a one-sided party. And Bass highlighted that so much, and I think it's very, very important that we take note of that. Also, go ahead, Harry.
Yes, the act of selflessness too.
That is, there it is. There it is, putting someone else's needs above yours.
Yes.
And it is very important. I'm sure Mr. Coffee like the happiest or the luckiest man in the world, because his wife goes the extra mile. And as Horan said early on, he would say that women love to just receive. And sadly, I agree. Sadly, I say that quietly. Majority of the times, women, we love gifts. We love to get things. It's nice to be gifted with little things, no matter how small it is. I think that speaks to us as well, because a lot of us would say, anybody can tell me that they love me, but how can you prove it, in a certain sense? Not saying that the gifts justify or tells much about your love for somebody, because they can give somebody with the most expensive thing, but there's no connection between you and that person.
Well, that's why I said earlier that my personal view, the way you socialize and the way you communicate, most times it open up a bridge that you walk across or you stay on the other side. Because based on this now, based on Mrs. Cuff also, this is gonna bring forth a different set of children and how they're gonna communicate in their life also, because their mom and dads are there for our example. So they're gonna do things different from myself, that's from a broken home. You get
Well,
me?
yeah, I see where you're coming from, and it does. Your home does play an integral role in how you move ahead in life. That is why I say, it is also very important from the initial stage of dating. Put your expectations on the table. I have to say this. I have to say it. I'm sure it was even said in one of our episodes previously with, I think it was Mr. Kof who said it as well. Putting your expectations on the table from the get-go does not lead to surprises. So when you see how your partner is behaving later down the road, it should never be a surprise to you, because this was laid out on the table. This is who I am. I am a word person and not necessarily an acting person. Or I'm one that is good with giving, but I'm not good with words. Because you have men who will express themselves to you through gifts, but for them to ever talk to you, that probably left them, because they're corny bad. Like, they just cannot come up with the best words or lyrics or whatever you would call it. But you get so turned off by some things that come out of the mouth. But they're the best at probably showing you how they care about you. You might come home to the best surprise, the best dinner, but they just can't find the words to tell you how much they really feel. You get what I'm saying? But it's about knowing who your partner is, as Bass said, and him knowing who you are, and not just satisfying your own needs, but satisfying the person's needs as well.
Definitely. And when we talk about gift giving, I think some persons, all right, for example, some men, and I'll say this because I've experienced it before, some men think that by giving gifts, the woman will be happy. And that's another thing that you have to keep in mind. Not every woman's love language is receiving gifts.
Yeah.
Like me, if I don't get no gifts, it's neither here nor there, because it's not my primary language.
Yeah.
It's not my second love language. If there are things that I want, I'll probably suggest it. But
Yeah.
you know, apart from the flowers that he would buy and stuff, he knows that give me a movie and the two of we just sit down and watch it and watch
And you're
Netflix,
good.
you know, spend time I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? But
Definitely.
if he because he grew up thinking that, oh, I need to buy her flowers, oh, I need
Yeah.
to buy her chocolate.
Yeah.
I don't even like chocolate, by the way. Oh, I need to buy her jewelry. Oh, I need to buy her a new bag. Oh, I need to buy her some new
It can
shoes.
even be
That
as
does nothing for
it can
me.
even be as Horian said what he saw. Because persons might see their fathers not saying much but doing a lot. So by like you just buy the love with gifts, gifts and gifts and gifts and gifts and gifts. And he grows up thinking, oh, that's how you love a woman. Just give her gifts and she'll be happy.
It's not only that, you know. That's what the society sometimes display.
Ah.
Social media display the celebrities. They're getting their new ride. They're getting all these things, these
That
fancy
is
things.
it.
So they play on the mind of the subconscious. As a result of that, that's what you bring forth in your everyday life. Thinking yes, because my
Yeah,
friend,
right.
boyfriend or husband can give her a car or take her to a fancy
I
hotel,
need to
or,
find a man that can do
I
that for
need to
me.
find one too.
Yeah. So
So
true.
the mentality starts where, you know, I'm thinking, okay, I need to look at a guy that have it already, not
Yeah.
someone to build with.
Yeah.
So
So
sometimes
true.
we try to look for the finished product instead of the raw material and make it the product.
Where's the tambourine?
Yep.
Where is the tambourine? Say it again, please. No, it is so true. It is so true. And boy, boy,
But
what can I say?
you know what, I was saying to someone that in order for someone to know what an opportunity is, you have to first can identify it. And if you can identify it, then there goes.
Yeah,
You won't
yeah,
know.
true. That is so true.
So you might have the great idea, the great product, but having it in the wrong hands, you will not see it. Because you can look at a Sierra as a perfect example, as a celebrity most persons can relate to. She and Future versus she and Russ just now is a two different person, if you can recall.
Yeah.
And that is
So
true.
different person bring forth different thing, because she was already a raw material and he made her into the product.
Yep.
But before we go though, you touched on it a little bit, Bass. But why is it important? Why is it crucial to understand your partner's love language? Why is it so important? Why is it even at all of importance?
It's simple. If your aim is to make your partner happy, then you have to understand how they love. And I will go back to the example that I used in the beginning. If I speak English and you speak Spanish, and say we're from two different cultures, let's get down to basics. Say we're from two different cultures. I speak English, you speak Spanish, but we're so madly in love, right? I am going to want to try and learn some Spanish so I can say a little, ¿Cómo estás? Muchas gracias.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to want to learn the way how you speak so that I can relate to you a little bit better or a little bit more effectively. And you in turn do the same. Now with love, the truth of the matter is love is selfless. And if you are not in a position where you are willing to do what is necessary to make your partner happy, and one of the basics is learning their love language and how they love so that you can speak their language, then you're not ready for a relationship. Simple.
That is it.
You're not ready for a relationship. And so I think it is imperative, and it's one of the first things that you have to discover when you're with somebody is their love language and what can I do or how can I make them happy? Because that is the only thing that is going to help you to know how they understand love and how they receive love and how they appreciate love. If you are trying to fling your gifts and care and money and all of that on somebody who simply just wants some quality time, then they're not going to be happy. They're not going to feel loved. And we've seen this in a lot of relationships. You see people them have everything in the world and
They're
them still not happy.
miserable. Yeah.
And
Have everything.
the Bible is there for a guide in terms of love. Because 1 Corinthians 13, 4 to 5 speaks specific to that. That love is patient, love is kind. It envy, it does not boast, it's not proud. I mean, this verse sums it all as it relates to love, and that which we are referring to just now.
So true.
Definitely,
So
definitely.
true.
So, in all things, though, Mrs. Cuff. I would like see the 5 love languages. I would like you just to touch all 5, like
Okay.
words of affirmation. Just touch a bit. You don't have to go to in depth. Just touch a bit, and you can just relate it to your own personal experience.
All right. So for me, mine is quality time. I love spending time with my husband. I love, even if it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, we have no issues as long as we're spending time together. And we have to be more deliberate about it now, given that we have 2 children. So spending quality time together, even though it's a little bit harder because the kids are always around, we ensure that we put in
Breaking
the
up the
effort.
party. Breaking up the party.
Right? We ensure that we put in the effort to ensure that we spend that quality time. His words of affirmation. And it does not have to be about anything that is big, quote unquote big. It could be something as simple as I was tired and I went to wash the dishes and he said, "It's all right, babe. I see that you're tired. Let me do it." And may I tell you, when I'm done, me nobody tired again. Words of affirmation, right? It's like, babe, thank you so much. I mean, some simple things, and this is why you have to get to know your partner better. You also have acts of service, and this is another one that I just spoke about. Some people love when you do things. It could be cooking, it could be washing the dishes, it could be cleaning up, it could be just about anything. Acts of service. Some people love that. You also have the other 2 love languages are, them just slip out of my head. Katie, help me out with the other 2 love languages.
Physical touch.
Yes.
Physical touch. Yes, physical touch. Some people are very touchy-feely. Them love to hold hands. They love to hug up. They love public displays of affection. And so some people, some men especially, they're not too into that. And their partner sometimes may be into that. So, the men have to compromise a little. Surprise her and hold her hand because she like when you're holding her hand in public, right? So another thing that you can compromise with, even if you are quote unquote not that kind of person. And what's the other one?
Acts of service.
Acts of service.
No, I did that one.
Words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving of gifts, quality time, and physical touch.
Acts of service.
Right. Receiving of gifts. That's the one that I didn't do. Receiving of gifts. And it does not have to be expensive things. It doesn't have to be the Kim Kardashian lifestyle. It could be something as simple as picking up her favorite cupcake when you're coming home. It could be as simple as buying her favorite meal. She loves Zinger at KFC. Buy the Zinger at KFC and carrot come give her, right? So those simple things all come together with a whole heap of other things. But those things work together to ensure your partner's happiness. So I would recommend to the fullest extent that you discover what your partner's love language is. If you can't figure it out, there's a free test that's online. You can just Google it, free love language test, and you can figure it out. I think all of us have a little of all the love languages within us, but there's always one that stands out.
That rules,
and
right?
So that when you do that, you can figure out how best or how to effectively love your partner in a language that he or she understands.
Definitely. We could not have ended on a better note, to be honest. But just before we wrap things up, Horain, is there anything you'd like to leave with our males and or females?
Be truthful to each other in terms of you expressing who you are, and try to get to know yourself more. Even though life is not about getting to know yourself, it's about creating yourself also and creating that person. So just be truthful in getting to know each other from dating straight on. It will create a balance in trust, and sometimes it also save you from a next heartbreak.
All right. So for me, my take home was, and I hope for everybody as well who is listening, if you don't leave with nothing, leave with this. Compromising is so important. I cannot stress it any more than I have. It's important to not just be on the receiving end, but it is important to know who your partner is. For the relationship to work, both of you have to be happy. It's not a one-sided ship. It's not one person in the relationship. It's two. And it is important that you not only compromise to say you are benefiting from compromising, but it's also that your partner is happy as well. You don't want it to be a case where your partner is just doing things to make you happy, but they're not necessarily happy, but they want to do it for you. Just as how they can think of you like that. I think it's only fair that you are able to do the same, right? So it is very important that we compromise and get to know our partners. I cannot stress it any more than it is. Getting to know each other, putting it on the get-go, the expectations of each other, and working together. I cannot stress that enough. But I have to say a super, super big thank you to my guest for sharing in today's discussion on love language, Miss Beautiful B. Thank you so much.
You
Miss
are
Cuff,
welcome.
before you go, Miss Cuff.
Yes.
I for my personal self, and I always say that one part of the love language is missing. This author, when I read this book, skips over that 3-letter word, and that 3-letter word is a big part of it too. Trust me.
Well, I
Tell
mean,
us.
I think it goes without saying, especially for men. I think it goes without saying because that is very important. But I think the point of the author was to just get a little deeper than just what is obvious. Let
Which is true.
That is not
Which
We
is
obvious.
all
That is
no,
know.
not
no,
obvious.
it is. It is.
No.
Because if you
Common sense.
ask,
Yeah,
if you
Common
ask
get a
sense.
little
anybody, no,
deeper
if you
because
ask
happiness.
anybody,
Yeah, I mean, everybody know that already. Everybody know
yeah.
that already.
Common sense.
Everybody, it
Common.
goes without saying. I think that goes without saying, but you have
It
to,
does,
because there are other things that make our partners happy. And that,
which
of
is
course, is
true.
at the top of the list, but you also have to learn to, dig a little deeper. So I think that was the point of coming up with these languages. But I do agree that that is very important, and we also have to keep that in mind.
Keep it
Definitely.
fresh. Keep it fresh.
Definitely. All right.
Create more.
So to our family, we have to say a big thank you to my co-host today, Horain Kelly. Woo! Thank you.
Woo!
You did an awesome job. I look forward to working with you some more. But that's for another discussion. But make sure you guys like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And be sure to follow us on our social media handle. That's on Instagram at understanding_her_more. And be sure to stay tuned for the next episode. You can keep up to date with that on our Instagram page. You'll know when our next episode is dropping and what it is we'll be discussing. But until then, keep safe. I'm your host, Katie K.